Hi everyone, my name is Emma Davidson, and this is for my drugs and behavior class. And I will be going over my chapter 2 outline, drug use as a social problem, for pages 29 to 33. To start off in the first section, substance dependence. What is it? Let's define habituation. It was used years ago to refer to people who became frequent heavy users of morphine and cocaine. There was no rule for quantity and frequency of use to determine any normal uses versus someone who has developed any kind of dependence on a certain substance. Headed into the next section, three basic processes. There were three specific characteristics of substance abuse. To start off, the first one was to distinguish them from first timers from occasional users. Um, from there, we define tolerance, which is repeated exposure to the same dose of drug. Um, will have weakened effect over time. It requires the user to up the doses to feel full effect of any kind of drug or substance that they were using. The second one is physical dependence. To define that as the occurrence of withdrawal syndrome when drug is not being used. The drug can disrupt the body's normal balances, and any imbalances detected by the nervous system combined with consistent drug use over time can cause normal mechanisms compensating for the drug's presence. The sudden removal of the drug will cause compensating mechanisms producing imbalances, more withdrawal symptoms, stuff like that. And going into the third one, psychological dependence, which is defined, well, it's considered AKA behavioral dependence, and it's defined as the frequency of using a drug um, and the amount of time or effort spent seeking the drug. Going forward, I found reinforcement, which is defined as the behavioral act followed by consequence from the increased tendency to repeat the behavior. Consequence may be a reward or an escape from any pain, and some drugs have reinforcing properties, also seen as beneficial. Um, into the next section, changing views and addiction. Up until the 20th century, many people felt addicts are lazy, immoral, weak willed, etc. But studies have found that drug dependency can be viewed as an illness, drug, a drug induced illness, um, which has definitely changed the mindset of many people even today. And er, there are some early medical models. People felt dependency came from people being exposed to large amounts of substance over a long period of time. Dependency was cured when a person successfully completed withdrawal and symptoms stopped. And up to the 70s, in the 1970s, led to addiction being defined only when physical dependence is present. For example, marijuana and amphetamines, there are no physical withdrawal symptoms. These drugs only produce psychological dependence. However, heroin was a driving force for true addiction because there was definitely physical dependence seen throughout withdrawal. Um, Going forward, the 1960s positive reinforcement model. This was based on the idea of drug use being driven by physical dependence. They did testing on monkeys and rats. And within that testing, I noted that small doses were given to those who did not experience withdrawal for the monkeys and rats, and they used a lever to level out how much of a dose they would be getting. And moving forward into the final section that I noted, which is more important, physical or psychological dependence. In the positive reinforcement model, psychological is more important than physical dependence to further explain repeated drug use. Psychological dependence was seen as a driving force behind consistent drug use, and any tolerance or physical dependency was not seen as a critical contributor of frequent drug reuse behavior. Moving forward, under DSM-5, substance use disorders, there were 10 separate diagnoses for such a class of drugs, stimulants, alcohol, tobacco, etc. And the severity of the disorder is characterized by three separate categories: mild, which was showing two or more symptoms that are present; moderate, which was showing up to 4 to 5 symptoms present; and of course, severe, which is six plus, six or more symptoms present. So I did pages 29 to 33, and that is the end of my outline. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this was helpful.